Chris, welcome back to the Two Spanners channel. Today we're going to have a go at taking the Cooper S badges off of this R56 Mini. We'll discuss a few of the tools and that first, and then we'll crack on with it. Enjoy! Right, so just going to quickly run through the tools I'm going to use today, and there are some variations we'll quickly discuss as well. Definitely going to want a heat gun just to soften any glue that's holding the badges on. Just make life a lot easier and massively reduce your risk of damaging the paint. Again, careful use of heat gun. You know, keep the thing moving, never leave it still in one spot for too long because you'll damage the paint. We've got a caramel wheel here just in case anything's a bit too stubborn or thick. Adhesive wise, any residue that's left over, these things are great at getting rid of it. The finer stuff, or if you don't have a caramel wheel, a decent solvent and a rag or some blue roll, and hopefully you'll be able to get the worst of the residue off. Got this little plastic scraper or spreader. You can use something like fishing line. If you are going to use some sort of line, don't saw back and forward, try and keep consistent pressure on it, because otherwise you will mar the paint. And then we've got the micro polisher here from Snap-on, just to make sure that there's no, obvious marks or you get like a shadowing where the paint hasn't seen the sun behind the badge, and that you can blend that in a bit with a polisher. And that's pretty much what we're going to use today. If you don't have the handheld polisher, the machine polisher, sorry, you can do it with like a perfect polishing cloth or something similar from Auto Glim, and just do it by hand. It just takes a bit more elbow grease. Let's crack on. Right, first we're just going to apply a bit of heat to the badge. Again, you want to keep the heat gun moving, don't have the temperature too hot, because you're only trying to soften the glue, not damage the paint or melt the badge or anything. This Cooper S badge is in all individual letters, so I'll probably just crack on and get them off. I'm going to use the plastic spreader to get in behind it. Again, you can use other types of spreaders or scrapers, as long as they're softer than your paint. Even something like this, if you press too hard on one of the sharp corners, can mark your paint. And if you're going to use something like fishing line, again, don't saw back and forwards with it. Just a nice consistent pressure, and then if it starts getting stuck, warm it up again. I'm just going to crack on, probably time lapse this bit, and we'll have a look at it once the actual letters are off. Right, so a little bit of heat. They come off really easy. Sometimes it's a lot tougher than that, and you have to warm it up, work it in a bit, warm it up, work it in a bit, but tiny bit of heat and they just come straight off, so nice and easy. I'll just grab the other camera quick and get a bit of a close-up of what it looks like. Right, so now you can see the badges have come off. A little bit of a mess, quite a bit of glue residue, a few very light scrape marks and stuff, which we'll take care of if it'll focus with the polisher at the end. Again, this one was quite easy to get off, so sometimes when you're working at it for a little while, you can expect a little bit of light damage to the very top surface, but again, nothing that can't be corrected with a polish. I'm just going to crack on and start removing it. Anything that's a bit tough, I'll whip the caramel wheel out on the drill, but a majority of that I think is going to come off with some solvent. Right, so I've just tacked it with a caramel wheel. Gone over with a bit of solvent, got most of the residue off, and it's come to my attention that this car has probably, I can see elsewhere it's definitely had some paint at some point, but I can see at some point it's been lacquered with these badges on. I don't know if it happens from factory. This doesn't happen often. We've removed quite a few badges with no bother, but this has quite clearly got some extra lacquer on the boot lid where the badge wasn't. So I'm gonna have a little play around, see what I can do with it. See if I can make it look half decent for now, but ultimately I think I might end up having to put some paint on it, but we'll see how we get on. So here's a bit more of a close-up shot. You can see there's a clear difference in height of the lacquer. So at some point with the badges, paint and whatnot so far, but ultimately if that needs to be done, we'll have to get it done. Right, so usually what turns out to be quite a simple job, as with a lot of jobs you do, especially on cars, ones that have been sitting around or been through the mill, had a few owners, things like that, don't always turn out to be quite as simple as it says on the tin. But Chris's magic hands has managed to do a solid job of at least flattening it off, but you can quite clearly see the massive difference in paint colour and that. So there's no other way forward to get this looking spot on again. He's going to need a paint. But again, at least you've had a bit of an insight into what's required to take some badges off your car. Obviously there are some badges like this central mini badge here that have locator holes. So, you know, if you're going to take these kind of badges off, that will need filling and painting anyway. But, you know, it's also showing you a bit of an insight into to some of the issues that you can run into. And like I say, we'll get this sorted. There's no rush. It's not, you know, keeping the car off the road or anything. But for anybody who's likes to be quite meticulous about their paint, they certainly would be happy with it having that colour difference. So, but what we'll do is we'll leave it there for now. You've had some of the information that's most important in regards to doing this kind of job, and we'll revisit it again at some point and give you an update where we're at. Thank you very much for watching. And that's what happens when it hasn't been lacquered with the badges on. You don't even need to polish the bloody thing. You do, there's still a little bit of slightly, you know, untouched paint underneath it. It just needs to be flat back a bit, but no hassle, no hassle.
You poor sod.
And there you have it. Spot on. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously, you know, it's not been not cleaned and the whole car detailed or anything, but there is no evidence of a badge. And then we go to the attempt on the Mini, and it's not like that obvious on camera. You can see the rippling, but in the flesh it literally says Cooper S in lacquer. Oops, win some you lose some, but we'll get it sorted.